غادي تكون معنا غابرييلا اللي غادي تهضر لنا في البريزونطاسيون ديالها على الايميل ماركتينغ. بغيتكم تبريباري راسهم نرحبوا بها. اوكي، بغيتكم ترحبوا معايا كاملين بغابرييلا.
All right. Hey guys. So amazing to be back. I was here last year and I loved the vibe so much that I just had to come back. So I'm super, super happy to be here. I know it's late at night. It's 9:30. It's way past my bedtime. So we're going to try to get through this, okay? So, email. So today we're going to be talking about how to grow a profitable email list. Not just any email list, a profitable one. Because one of the first questions I get whenever someone meets me is, Gab, how much money can you make with email marketing? And that's kind of a hard question to really answer. That's like almost asking, well, you know, how much money can you make selling t-shirts? You know, it really depends. So I'm going to basically share with you a couple of stories. And how does this... Okay, perfect. All right, so the first story I'm going to tell you is about Carol. So meet Carol. Carol owns an apparel store, okay? She owns an e-commerce store. She basically found a way to turn her passion into her dreams. And she's a young entrepreneur. She went from making 0 sales to over 3 million in less than 5 years. So she grew really, really, really quickly, okay? And the problem was that only 5% of her sales were coming through email automations. So she knew she had a problem. Because typically, normally, even the most basic email automations should at least bring in at least 20 to 30% of sales, which clearly she wasn't doing. So there was a problem. She knew she could be doing better. She knew this. And she came to me, right? She needed some help. And I agreed with her. She could absolutely be doing better. So now let's take a look at some of her results. Let's see where she was at. Okay, so this, as you can tell, so let's actually take a look at the numbers here, okay? We can see here, now Amy doesn't have a big list, okay? This we're looking at a 30-day range period. In a 30-day range period, she's collecting 33,000 new subscribers. And out of those 33,000 subscribers, she was generating $22,997. So that was her 5%. That was part of the 5% of her sales. Now, just looking at these, right? She has a 25.6% open rate. Her click-through rate is only 2.0%, right? So could she be doing better? Absolutely, right? Showed her a new way. Just changing one simple thing. It's not a matter of redoing everything. Sometimes when it comes to optimization, it's just a matter of changing 1 or 2 things. We did that, we optimized it. 30 days later, with the exact same amount of leads, and you can tell here she was making 5%, that's part of the 5%. 30 days later, she was now generating the same exact amount of leads, okay? Same amount, 33K leads, and she was now generating over $100,000. That's without increasing the number of subscribers. The same amount of money she was paying before, she is now making 5 times the return. And you can tell that just by looking at the open rate, 47%. Click-through rate, 25.5%. And now, her sales went from 5% to 27%, just that one change. So absolutely, she could have done better. Now you can actually see here the flow's a little bit better here. You can tell she went from 5% to 25%. So yes, absolutely, there's always a way to optimize with email. Now, here's another story, okay? Because another problem that people come to me is, listen, you know, I'm generating sales, but, you know, my list is not big enough. I only have 100 people or 300 people. I don't think it's big enough. I have to wait until it gets to 10,000 in order for me to start making money. And that's not true, all right? Absolutely not true. And this is Amy's story. So Amy, like a lot of drop shippers, because she was a drop shipper, and drop shippers, we all know, sometimes you're playing with smaller margins. So having that extra channel to generate those sales, well, sometimes, in Amy's case, it saved her business. Because one day when her Facebook's ads tanked in April, she had no other choice but to start sending emails. So even though for an entire year she was collecting leads, right? She was making sales, she never emailed them. Until that one time in April she was forced to because of her Facebook ads. And of course she wanted to keep her dream alive, right? She wanted to keep her dream alive, and she started emailing, and she started getting some results. But she had, again, a lot of the fears where she didn't know what to say, she didn't know what to send. So, and this is a big problem that I hear a lot of people with, especially dropshippers, e-commerce stores, struggle with, because you don't know, because you're afraid of what people are going to say. So there she was, basically. So she finally took the chance, started emailing, and her list size wasn't big, 350 people. In a month, that's all she collected, 350 people. But she went from making $60, with one simple change, she went from $60 to $497 in sales. That's an 8 times return for the same amount. Now, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to basically show you what happened to these guys 5 months later. Because size does not matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wait to get to 10,000 or 100,000. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you have experience. No experience. You don't need the experience. You don't need all this copywriting experience. You don't need to hire copywriters. You don't need that. You just need to know the basic framework, which most of you right now sitting in this room already know. It's just a matter of adapting it to email. The whole point, though, is you really, really need to learn how it works. And that's the most critical part, is if you don't know how the machine works, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter who you hire, you can hire the best people in the world, you will never have that same success that both Carol and Amy had after they started implementing the strategies. So, and it really comes down to the most important thing, which is action. That's it. You just need to take that leap of faith and start doing it. That is it. That is it. Now, what does this actually mean, right? Now, for Carol, it basically meant reaching her $12 million goal 3 times faster. That's what it means. When you just take the time to actually learn how something works, as opposed to assuming how something works, it's a huge difference. And for Amy, it basically meant less stress. Okay, because every single day, Amy was always struggling with ads. For her now to be able to have another sales channel where she can breathe and not always have to stress about Facebook ads or losing an account or whatever it is, she always has that backup. So this is why, for her, it saved her business. And at the end, I'm going to show you the results. So you might be wondering who I am, right? Some of you guys remember me from last year. I'm Gabriella Rapone. I got my start at an email service provider. Now, email service providers, that's like a MailChimp, Aweber, Infusionsoft. So I got started early, and I got started as an affiliate, and a lot of people don't realize that. So I started as an affiliate, managing third-party lists, and I owned an ESP for over 5 years. So this is why I know how email works. And this is the thing with email, is email has not changed. It hasn't changed in over 15 years. It hasn't changed. Unlike Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, where things are always changing, it doesn't change. It has not changed. But there is one thing that does change, and I'm going to show you that throughout this presentation. And I also consulted for Clients like As Seen on TV, Classmates, Jesse Elder, Flight Hub, MySpace, a lot of other companies. And I'm also the owner of Email Maverick. Now there might be some Email Maverick members in this crowd, and basically what Email Maverick is an email teaching platform and consulting. So at the end of the day, as I mentioned, email is not about the size of the list. The bigger the list does not mean you're going to make more money. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. What it comes down to is strategy. 100% strategy. And step one about strategy, right, because you need to know how the machine works, is you need to know your place, like anything else, right? Like if you're playing a game of chess, you need to know what the chess pieces are allowed to do. You need to know their place so you know how to play the game, right? So email's place in the online world is very, very simple. It is a display medium, which means it is a point A to a point B, which means if someone sees something online, right, like you're on Facebook, you're scrolling, you see something, you like it, you click it, you go to it. That's what it is, okay? It is a point A to a point B. Remember, this is about knowing email's place. This is what it's about. It is not a sales page. It's not. Now, I know if you look right now in your email account, maybe in your inbox, in your spam folder, you're going to find a lot of emails that look like this. They're long. They look like little mini sales pages, right? You'll even see big brands doing it, and you might think this is the way to do it. But the truth is, it's not. Yes, you're still going to make some money. You're going to make some sales with this, absolutely. But Amy was doing this, right? Amy was guilty of this. She was using swipe files, and she was looking at her competition. And you saw she was getting results. She was absolutely getting results. So you can't say you don't get results. But at the end of the day, using swipe files is like wearing a one-size-fits-all t-shirt. Yes, it'll cover you. It does what it has to, but it's not going to be fitted. It's not going to be fitted to you. And when something's not fitted to you, of course, people are not going to respond to you. You're not going to be as confident, right? So this is why you're still going to get results. But what you really, really want is you want to be able to understand how it works so that you can make it fit for you. And don't get me wrong, swipe files they're good. They're good for inspiration. But if you believe that you're going to buy a swipe file that made some guru millions of dollars is going to make you millions of dollars, it absolutely won't. It will not. So this is why it's really, really critical that you really understand how it works. And the most important part about display, right, what's your number one job if you're a display medium, is to get that click. You have to sell the click so they get to the sales page. That's the most critical part with email. Because you're probably thinking, yeah, some of my long emails, they make more sales, right? Now, here's the thing. The debate here is not about whether or not you're generating sales with that email. And you're going to see why. It's not a debate about that. Okay? No one's debating. It's all about knowing email's place in the ecosystem, in the online ecosystem. That's the most important part. And here you can actually see in this picture email read rates. You can see email read rate, you can see skim rate, and you see glanced and deleted. Now this is critical. This is critical to the Gmails of the world. Because remember, there's no human out there that's looking at your emails and saying, okay, these emails are going to hit the inbox, these are going to hit the spam folder. No, right? They work on logic, business logic. This is why I always say you can always go wrong with long. Because what happens if you open up a long email, more than likely people won't even read it, they're just going to skim it, and they're going to delete it. And any message that is read and deleted less than 2 seconds is basically considered abandoned to Gmails of the world. And when something is abandoned to them, they basically do not prioritize your emails to the inbox. So you can always go wrong with long. Just always remember that. Now the trick here to really, really mastering selling the click is what I like to call the ABEs of email. Because just like learning how to read and write, you have to learn your ABCs. Email is exactly the same. You have to learn your ABEs, which is always be engaging. Always. Now you hear that word engagement a lot. We hear it a lot in our space, right? And basically what engagement is, very simple. It's an open, click, and if you're lucky, get the reply. That's what engagement is. Okay? Now, this takes us to step 2, which the next question is, are my emails being seen? That's a big one. And of course, in order for your emails to be seen, you have to hit the inbox. Now you're probably thinking, hey, listen, Gab, I use an email service provider like MailChimp or Infusionsoft, so of course my emails hit the inbox, right? Of course they do. Or maybe you're thinking, you know what, people signed up for my email list or they purchased from me, so of course my emails are gonna hit the inbox, right? Of course, right? It's logic, right? People want my emails. But the truth is that what you're up against is 459 billion emails daily. Not weekly, not monthly, but daily. So this is why there's no magical, mystical ESP. There's none. Because as I mentioned, there's no machine that's actually, it's only a machine that's looking at your emails. There's no human, absolutely no human. And that's a lot. Just to put things in perspective, okay, there's 7.6 billion people on the face of the earth. That means that every single person, including your mother, your father, your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, every single person on the face of the earth would get over 70 emails a day. And that's also, and when it comes to those 70 emails a day, more than 70% are harmful emails. And remember, that free Gmail account, that Yahoo account that you have, it costs Gmail and Yahoo billions of dollars a year to maintain. So this is why there's no magical, mystical ESP. Because if there was one, number one, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, ESPs wouldn't be around, we'd all be on a beach just printing money. So this is why. But there is good news, okay? The good news is that there is a way to hit the inbox on a consistent basis, and you're gonna keep seeing that throughout this presentation. But I wanna share with you another story, and I want you to meet Jamie. Now, Jamie is another e-commerce store owner, right? He owns an e-commerce store. He mastered all the other online channels except for email. He finally mastered email, was finally able to get it to over 70,000 in sales a month. But then he started to notice something. As quickly as his sales went up to 70,000, they also started to quickly go down. And Jamie didn't understand. He's like, well, I don't understand. He's like, we're having to send more and more emails every single month just to even make half the sales that we were making before. What's going on? What's going on? And he didn't get it because he's like, what? All of my emails, everyone on my list are buyers. So what's going on? Why do we have to keep sending more emails? And the worst part is he was using MailChimp, right? Because that's the first thing that frustrated clients do when they come to me. The first question they ask is, should I move? Do I need to move off of MailChimp? Should I go to Klaviyo? Which is better, right? And this is the thing, is your email service provider, the MailChimps, the Klaviyos of the world, they're just a tool. That's all they are. So what it really comes down to is you have to make sure that the tool that you're using is right for your business. That's what you need to do. Because moving to another email service provider is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. It's like basically trying to put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole to stop the bleeding. You're gonna eventually bleed out. So he was having to send more and more emails, and he didn't know what was going on until we took a look at his account, and we noticed, of course, that there were issues, right? There were issues with his email deliverability, right? That's the ability to hit the inbox. Now, all we did was identify the problem. Once we identified the problem, we were able to apply the solution. Now, you can see here what he generated, right? So he was having to send 100,000 emails just to make $1,400. We revised it. Very simple revision, found what the problem is, or at least was, and we optimized that Cyber Monday campaign, where now he only sent 31,700 users and made $2,900. So we sent over 69% less emails, and still made almost twice the amount of sales. So this is why it's not about sending more. People think you have to send more emails to make more money, and that's not the case. Again, it's all about understanding how email works and how to make it work for you and your business. That's what it comes down to. Now, for a lot of you, you might be hearing this for the first time. And the truth is that the reason why this is probably the first time you've ever heard this is because you were all set up to fail. You were all set up to fail by the same people who you trusted with your business, right? The MailChimps, the AWebers, the Klavios of the world, right? And they set you up to fail because they made you believe that email was like this, right? This is the expectation. You have an email list, right? You press send, and it'll either hit the inbox or spam. That's it. That's the expectation, right? I'm sure a lot of you sitting here right now think that that's the expectation of email, when it's not. It's not. The reality is this. You have an email list. It goes through a first filter. I call it filter 1, okay? Now, if it passes the first filter, it will either pass and go to filter 2, and it's at this point filter 2. Okay, so the only thing the email service provider, the MailChimps of the world, are responsible for is this, F1. That is it. That is the only thing they're responsible for. The F2, right, once you pass F1 and go to F2, that is where your ability to hit the inbox is being decided. And it's at this point that your email service provider has no power. They have zero power. They have zero power to hit the inbox or spam. Zero. But you have the actual power. You have the power to hit the inbox or spam. You just don't know it yet. Because the email service providers of the world made you believe that you need them. But the point is, they need you. So continuing with Jamie, right? As I mentioned, we found out what his problem was. His problem was, the reason why he had to keep sending more emails was because his emails were not hitting the inbox. Only 1 out of 5 were. That's it. So of course it made sense he had to keep sending more and more and more. Now we made the adjustment, right? And at the end, 5 out of 5 emails were now hitting the inbox. Because we know how it works. It's not about right or wrong, okay? It's not about long emails selling more. It's about knowing how things work, knowing its place. And you can tell here, after we made the change, his email reputation went from 66 to 93%. So far we've learned a couple of things. We've learned, number one, that in order to be successful with email, you need to know email's place in the online world. You have to. It's critical. And it's all about selling the click. That's what it is. It's the display medium. Your job is to sell the click. It is not to sell a product. It is to sell a click. Number two, so far you've learned that in order to get your email seen, It's all about being able to hit the inbox. That's what it's all about. If you're not hitting the inbox, no one's going to see your emails. You're not going to make sales, right? Because no one can click on it. And lastly, in order to stay in the inbox, because that's the most critical part. Now that you know how the machine works, right? You know its place. You know how to hit the inbox. It's how do you stay there? Because you can either keep fighting the inbox and going round and round, same story over and over, or you can learn what it takes to actually stay in the inbox and sustain it. And that takes us to step 3, email reputation. Now, email reputation is exactly what you think it might mean. But in the email world, what it actually means is that every single email that you send, automation, campaign, broadcasting, you name it, every single email you send is being monitored and it is being scored. And it's not just being monitored and scored against your competition. It's being scored against yourself. Every single day, you send an email. If your engagement rate, if your clicks are not there, your opens are not there, guess what? You're gonna go from a good engagement rate to a bad engagement rate. Or email reputation, sorry. And this is it, right? Let's move to, so, as you can tell, that was poor. 66% is pretty poor. You don't want to be at 66%. Now, you're probably asking me, what is this, okay? So, this is actually a result from return path. So there is a way that you can actually monitor deliverability. And your ESP does not monitor deliverability. There's paid tools that can do that for you. But again, use this with a grain of salt, okay? But it's always good to have a reference to know where you're at. Because the reality is your email reputation, as I mentioned, is being gauged at F2 here, okay? Which basically your ESP has, they have no power. They don't. They really, really, really don't. And this is where your email reputation really, really counts. Now, one way that you can improve your email reputation, because that's the next question I get, right? The whole point is, how do you sustain it? How do you keep that email reputation up? And one thing that we do really, really good at Email Maverick is this. This is what we do extremely well. You've seen the results. You've seen the opens. You've seen the clicks. It's not magic. It isn't magic. It's just understanding. And let me explain to you. One way that I like to explain email marketing is email marketing is like a tree. Just imagine a tree. Now, at the bottom here, you have the roots, right? You have the roots. Now, the roots are represented here by the subscribers. So the people that are coming into your email list, and the trunk is your email list. So people are coming into your email list. They're all coming in because they all have different pains and desires. So if I'm trying to sell whatever it is, it could be a water bottle, right? My pain or desire for wanting it is going to be different from the next person to me. Because maybe I want a stainless steel water bottle because, I don't want, I don't want plastic, right? Very environmentally conscious, whereas maybe someone next to me may want a bottle because maybe they have some sort of event promotion, right? They have a different pain or desire. So this is it. So all these people that see your advertisement, right, for whatever it is, they're all coming in for a different reason. And they're all coming into the trunk, and the branches are the automations. Depending on what they do, they will go into different automations. Now, the roots, just like in a tree, are the heart of the tree. That is what they are. They're the hearts. And understanding your audiences, your subscribers' pains and desires, and where they are in their life is critical to you creating that email message that will guarantee a click. Because you can't write an email for everyone. Everyone on your list is different. As I mentioned, everyone has a different pain and desire. They're going to buy for different reasons, always. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to show you here what we actually did with Jamie's. So you saw Jamie's long email before, right? The one that looked like a sales page. This is what we actually did. So I'm going to read you the email now, and I'll highlight what we did. So this is the revised Cyber email, the Cyber Monday email. Blackouts can kill. Imagine enjoying a nice evening inside when suddenly a blackout occurs. You aren't prepared and have to stumble around the house to find a candle, or worse, end up in a dangerous candle fire. 10% of all fire home injuries and deaths occur due to candle fires. Avoid risking your life and property during a blackout by using this life-saving bulb. Easy to use, rechargeable, while eliminating fire dangers. And when you order this light bulb today, you'll save 50% instantly. Blackouts are unpredictable. Being ready doesn't have to be. Grab your bulbs and always be prepared for the unexpected blackout events. Be prepared. Now, there's a lot going on in this email, but the basic framework of what you need to guarantee that click is there. Now, 3 of the 5 email maverick principles to guarantee that engagement is number 1. Let's take a look at this email. Number 1, this email, unlike the other one, is focused. It's focused on one idea. It's not trying to basically distract you with other images. It's focused on one idea. That's what it is. The more ideas you have, the more distractions, the less you're going to get a click. So this email is focused on one thing. Number 2, we know our avatars, right? We've identified this avatar. And the angle we're going after is the basic angle of safety. Who doesn't want to feel safe, right? That's the whole point. Unlike the other email was, oh, save 50%, look at this bulb. Well, that's not an incentive. It's not giving me a reason to buy. Give me a reason to buy. This gives me a reason to buy. You scared me, right? You scared me into at least clicking. Remember, this is not about selling, it's about clicking. Because when you increase the number of clicks, and you saw there was an increased number of clicks, then you get more sales. That's what it comes down to. And last but not least, what we did was a very clear call to action, right? One thing that's missing in a lot of e-commerce, just mostly emails in general, clear calls to action, actionable calls to action. And you can tell here we have more than just one call to action, because there's no limit to what you can do in terms of how many calls to action. They just need to be powerful enough for the user, right? They have to mean something. So that's the 3, as you can see, that's the basic framework, is attention, identify the pain point, and call to action. You don't need a fancy copywriter. This took all of 10 minutes to write, and it made money. It made twice as much money as the other one. That basically took over 2 hours to create. So that just goes to show that it doesn't take much, you just need to know how it works. That is it. Now, I'm gonna I'll show you Carol 5 months later. Now remember Carol at the beginning, right? She was generating $22,000 a month, right? And she has a $12 million goal to reach. That's her goal. Now, with that optimized email, she is now generating close to she's close to $800,000 on one email. That's 5 months later. She went from 22 to $782,000. That's a lot. She didn't have that before. To get to that, it would take her years. 5 months, one email. Not a sequence, one email. Now, Amy's story, right? Amy started, she was only at $497. At the end of 5 months, same email flow, $27,000. And again, these are not experts, right? They just know how it works. They know how it works. They know what email's role is. They know they have to hit the inbox, and they know they have to sustain it. So that's it, guys. All right? If you are ready to activate, if you're ready to activate your email list and get these types of results so you can finally break free from Facebook ads or always being at their whim, this is your chance. So that's it. You can reach me at support@acemaverickmedia.com. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gabriella, for this valuable information.
Yes.
عرفتكم عييتوا.
Your questions?
نزيدو كيسيون.
No questions.
نزيدو زعما. شكون عنده شي كيسيون؟ كاينه كيسيون لور كاع. اوكي اش عندنا لهنايا كاع؟ قرب شي شويه نشوفوك. انا الصراحه عييت.
أنينا.
هو جي لعندنا لهنايا. عافاك اجي من هنايا اجي من هنايا. شوف مول الميكروفون اجي من هنايا باش تعطي الميكرو. كاين شي واحد اخر عنده كيسيون واحده اخرى باش نسبقوه ولا اوكي بقى معايا. الميكرو.
Hi.
ميكرو.
No?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much for this information. Like I said last time, I just know one information about how to have a big data or how to extract data from different websites that have the same niche that we work in.
Okay, so that's black hat, because that's scraping. So that is, I don't recommend that. That's not something that I typically, I would not recommend, because you're just making your life a lot harder. If this were 2006, I say yes, do that. But you're going to be going up against a lot of different problems. So I don't recommend it. If you're looking for someone who can help you scrape, I'm not in that field anymore. So I couldn't tell you. But I definitely do not recommend it for you. It's just not a good, it's just going to be a waste of time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's it? Other question?
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for your information. I want to just ask if I have an email list and leads, how I can sell them online. Is there any website?
That's a good question. There are data brokers that can sell
Yeah.
your data. I can definitely give you some names if you're looking to sell your data.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that would be happy to mail your data. So I can give you some.
That's
if you
good.
join my email Maverick group,
Yeah.
I will make you an introduction.
That's
Yeah.
good. Thank you for your
You're
answer.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
it. Thank you. إذا last one.
Last one, okay.
Okay. Sorry على التصفيق هذه. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, Gabriella, for the presentation. I'm just have one question about how we can check our email reputation.
That's a good question. So unfortunately, there's no real way to get those results unless you have a paid account like ReturnPath, which is very expensive. So the best thing that you can do is what I always tell people is you want to seed your email list, which means put your own email addresses on there and gauge your deliverability based on your engagements. So that's the way that you can do it for free. So the more email seeds you have, which means the more Gmail accounts you have, the more Yahoo, the more AOL, then you can see where they're being placed. Or you can go up with a paid accounts like ReturnPath or even Send Forensics. That one's a little less expensive, but again, it's not going to give you your email reputation. It's going to give you your ability to hit the inbox, which is similar.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I will say it again in Arabic. شكرا Gabriella.
Yes.
شكرا.